All right, so today we're going to make our gravy. I'm starting off, we're going to be making a roux. Now we're going to be using flour, about a quarter cup, and a quarter cup of oil. And we're just going to work that together. The reason we aren't using butter for that roux is going to take it a lot darker. And we actually want what's called almost a brown roux. It goes right after brick and peanut butter roux. So we just want to make sure all that flour gets coated. The thicker you make the more you cook down the roux, the less the starches in the flour work. So you're actually going to want to make sure that you have enough roux to still thicken, because it's not going to thicken quite as much. Add just a little bit more flour to this. And we want to keep it moving because we don't want this to burn, we just want it to get color. So it's a heaping quarter cup. So as the roux cooks, you're actually going to be able to smell it, and it'll start smelling like toasted nuts almost. And that lets you know that your roux is actually past just the flour phase, and we're going into the roux phase. You can see it's starting to get past that blonde era, and we're starting to get that little bit of darker. I'm going to turn down that heat a little bit because I don't want it cooking too fast. The darker the color, the more flavor, but the less thickening action it has. So now we're getting into close to what's called a peanut butter roux, as you can tell, because it's starting to look a little bit like that peanut butter flavor, or that peanut butter color. Turning it down a little bit. Again, if we were using butter right now, that butter would have burnt, and we would have had a lot more bitter flavors than we really want. So this is a butane burner. It is really hot, so it is going faster. We are cooking all of that stuff down. We're really close. This is going to go relatively fast because we've got just a little bit of roux. Smell it. It shouldn't smell burnt. It should start smelling more and more nutty. Again, we're just bringing that up. We don't want any black bits. We don't want any burnt bits. We just want it nice and dark. A roux is equal parts by weight, flour and oil. Again, we're getting really close. You can see how dark it's getting. We're starting to get a little smoke come off of it. A little bit of that steam. That means we're probably close to done. So we're going to add all of our lovely diced veggies. We've got carrots, celery, and this is the Cajun mirepoix, the Trinity. It is slightly different than normal mirepoix. You would substitute out the bell pepper for celery. It is 25, 25, 50. 50% onion, 25% celery, 25% bell pepper. Now we're going to cook these down just until they're nice and tender and translucent. So we're going to crank up the heat a little bit, get it going again. So we saute these guys down. You want to be very, very careful not to burn that roux. Now we cut all of these veggies super small so that we have that gorgeous, gorgeous consistency to the sauce, so everyone can get a little bite of everything whenever they take a bite. We want to cook them down and make them nice and soft so that we can make sure that, you know, we don't need that much of a crunch, and it takes out a lot of those sulfates and everything from the onion. But look how they're all the same size, how gorgeous that looks. I'm just letting those cook down. I really don't want anything sticking too much to the bottom. I don't want anything burning, so we're just gonna keep moving it around, scraping down those sides, make sure everything gets moved around. Just gorgeous, gorgeous color, gorgeous flavor. Smell it, it just smells fantastic because all of these aromatics are coming out. Now, if you had whole spices, you would have toasted them off beforehand. We all have small spices, so we don't have to burn, which is why I'm holding off putting them in quite yet. Cook down just a little bit further. I want it to get closer like a jam-like consistency. This roux's not going to go any further because unless those vegetables all get cooked, it can't get up to the temp to where it's going to start cooking everything down too far. Gorgeous. All right, so now that all of my onions look translucent, everything feels a little bit softer, I'm adding in 1 quart of chicken stock. And we're going to stir while adding. I'm just getting the rest of that chicken stock base out of there so that we get all the flavor that we need. All right, now we're going to crank up the heat, bring this to a boil so it'll start to thicken. Continue to stir while we go. We want to make sure we get those edges, those corners, that's where stuff tends to stick and it will start to burn. Now my chicken stock was cold, my roux was hot. If you add hot to hot, it's going to lump up. We always want to add cold to hot or hot to cold. So just bringing that on up. Just cleaning up my mess as we go. Make sure everything stays clean. This is how we're just going to make our gravy. We just got to bring this up because what's going to happen is as we bring this up, those starch molecules are going to start to expand and gelatinize, and that's going to give us our thickness. And you'll see it'll go from being all liquidy to nice and thick in consistency, and what we call a nappe. It means to coat the back of the spoon. To this, I'm going to add some of my Cajun spice blend so it can get married in there because I've got some raw thyme and some raw oregano in there, and that dried stuff needs some time to soak in. You can add as much or as little as you want. This is yours. Give it a taste. Make sure it all tastes good. We're gonna let that marry a little bit, then I'm gonna give it a little taste and see how it goes. I'm just still making sure that those edges and everything comes together. Just trying to get it up to that boil. You can see it's starting to get more viscous as it's been heating up. It's not quite as watery. So we want to bring it to a boil and let it go for a little bit. That way all these flavors can infuse. And just give it a little taste for seasoning to start. Right now it tastes pretty good. All it needs to do is meld and mellow. It's got a nice little bit of heat. We're going to give this pause and we'll be back when this is ready. So it's at a boil. We're just reducing it down a little bit. We've got a lovely consistency. As it cools down, it definitely thickens up. The flavor is phenomenal. It's got a little bit of heat, a little bit of kick. But you can see it's a lot thicker than water now. It's still got a little bit of a runny consistency, but we want that so that our dumplings can thicken it up. But that's going to be our lovely gravy for our dish. So we're going to put that into a container, seal it up, and hold on to it till next class.